Hi, I'm Kevin Fontana, and in this episode of Weekend Warrior, I'm going to talk about some things you need to do to prepare for a gig. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Also, be sure and subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified whenever I post new content. So let's say you have a gig coming up and you're wondering what you need to do to prepare. In this video, I'm going to talk about making sure you've got your instrument or instruments ready to go for the upcoming show. Okay, so I'm going to be using my Epiphone Les Paul plus a couple of other guitars in a gig that I've got coming up. And before your gig, you want to, most importantly, restring the guitar. If you've had the strings on for more than a few weeks, it's best to go ahead and change them. The metal does fatigue and wear out. The likelihood of breaking strings is going to be greater if the strings are really old, plus you're going to lose some of the tone. And I'll be doing a video with electric guitars showing how older strings can kind of flatten the tone out. But if you click up above, it'll take you to the video that I did about how long will a set of strings last. And in that video, I used an acoustic guitar to illustrate how an old set of strings can start to sound dull and lifeless versus a new set. So, strings are cheap. Make sure you change the strings. Also, you'll want to go through and make sure that all of the controls are working properly and you don't have any static. I know that in this guitar, when I use the switch to go from the neck to the bridge pickup and back and forth, the neck pickup usually will have a drop in sound or a little bit of static. That is 90% of the time due to this switch getting dirty. Now on Les Pauls, there is a cavity in the back of the guitar to be able to fix this issue. What you'll need to do is just take this little door off the back, make sure you don't lose the screws. And the cleaner that you will need is deoxit. Where is my deoxit? So I'll post a link in the video description with a link to deoxit so you can see what I'm talking about and know where you can purchase it from. Some music stores have it, but not all of them do. So, if you've only got a few days, hit up that Amazon Prime or whatever that you can get the stuff quick, or call your local store and see if they have it. Just a few squirts on the mechanism and work it a little bit and it'll usually clean it up. The same thing goes for any kind of scratchiness in the pots on the guitar. When you turn the knobs, if you hear any static or popping, that's typically where the pots have gotten a little bit dirty. Hence, you've got the back here that you can pop off, and really all you have to do is squirt a little bit and work the knobs and it'll take care of that. Also, you'll want to just generally clean up the guitar, make sure that you don't have any dirt or debris or anything like that. If you haven't had any other problems with the guitar, all it really needs is just a good cleanup and a wipe down. Okay, now other things you might want to look at. If you're going to be using pedals of any kind, make sure you run through and test everything and test the patch cables. Patch cables are notorious for going bad during a show. This is one of those areas you don't really want to skimp a lot, especially if it's going to be on your pedal board permanently. It's worth a little bit of extra money just to get better quality construction because these, when you've got a pedal board and you've got 4 or 5 pedals and a bunch of these cables, hooking them together, that can be a nightmare to diagnose the problem if it goes out during a show. So this is one of the things I would say don't skimp, because you're not going to save a lot of money. I mean, you're talking about maybe a couple of dollars for a cheap one versus 5 or 6 for a better one. It's worth the extra little bit of cash. Make sure you've got all of your effects set the way you want them. You'll definitely want to check out volumes and stuff before you actually play. These are not on my current pedal board, so that's why I've got them loose. If you're like most guitar players, you've been playing a while, you'll get tons of these. Sometimes people hang on to them, some people trade them, I don't know. Make sure you've got the settings the way you want them. Some people like to mark the settings or put a piece of masking tape with the settings, so if it gets messed up in transport, you can dial your tone back in. Next, make sure you've got all of your regular guitar cables and any specialty cables. Some pedals take specialty cables like this one. This is a ring tip sleeve, so basically there's more than just the two conductors in here. And when you look at it closely, you can see that this looks different from a regular guitar jack. This is specifically for using certain foot switches. Sometimes expression pedals may use these. You'll want to test them and make sure you have all of the correct cables that you'll need. And make sure you've got all your backup stuff packed. So any kind of cables, spare strings, straps. If you haven't done so, watch my top 10 things to take to your first gig video that I'll link up above, where I go into more detail about some of the things that you might not think about needing for a show, but you'll want to have them in case something goes wrong. And if you follow Murphy's Law, something is going to go wrong at most gigs. It's very rare that everything goes off without a hitch. And lastly, make sure you know your material down cold. You don't want to have to be worrying about how a certain part goes when you're actually doing the gig. Make the mistakes at home, work out your parts, work out any solos. If there's something that you feel uneasy about, that's what you need to focus on, because you want to be relaxed when you're performing. You don't want to be going, well, wait a minute, how does this particular part go during the show? Again, if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you have suggestions for videos, just leave a comment below. And again, until next time, keep practicing.